As with all South Africans, I received with shock the news that Comrade Kathrada passed on in the early hours of today. Just last night, I was talking to a comrade of mine from the West Rand in Krugersdorp, and we were planning to be visiting him sometime today, and little realizing that his situation had so deteriorated that we would be too late. I remember Comrade Kathrada as one of the prisoners in B section of Robben Island, a section to which I was transferred by the authorities on Robben Island around the years of 1978 and 79. And because the majority of the people there were very senior in years, much older than him, much older than obviously ourselves. I spent quite a bit of time with him, and he was always very busy with little chores and things like that. In particular, he was always trusted by the seniors. They'd ask him to draft some notes or to copy certain documents and so on. And he did this very, very assiduously, and to which I also participated, joined him, and we did this kind of things. And whenever we had found a way to pilfer a newspaper, we needed to translate it so that we could take the news from an Afrikaans newspaper and translate it so that for the others also to understand the news. And this was his particular passion, and he had incredible flair for detail. And I remember this particular trait of him, how he would make sure that he's able to pick what is implied in what the news were reporting. And much as others may not believe it, but we were not even allowed to read the Afrikaans nuusblaaie. The authorities always said that they don't want us to read newspapers because those newspapers were putting communist ideas in our head. But these were Afrikaans newspapers, official mouthpieces of the National Party. We often laughed about it. And so he was this kind of very, very active person. And somehow he managed to keep to the background. Sometimes you could be in his company and you would not realize that he is there busy doing something, somehow to make sure that the news get to the other sections, or whatever communication we got from the other sections would be able to be received and then distributed. Because sometimes we'd have to read this after hours, and mostly because we were staying in single cells, we couldn't sit together and discuss it. He would have to make sure that other people get copies that they can then, of course, share. I remember when we had now parted and so on, and how I suddenly realized how many things I had learned just working with him on this kind of work, and how much we were on top of the situation outside of prison. And I am sad to say that we have really lost one of the South Africans who dedicated his years to service to the people, who was self-effacing, never thrusting himself to the front, always trying to do something that would advance the cause, however small or perhaps obscure that activity may be. But he understood the need for this kind of work to be done. So as we take him to his final resting place today sometime, because I understand he'll be buried in Muslim rites, it does mean that it's going to have to be sometime before the end of the day. I think South Africans must bow their heads in gratitude for what he did, but at the same time in sadness that one amongst us has departed. I thank you.